testimonials.
KFAN. Vikings postgame coverage continues now with Vikings Overtime on FM 100.3 KFAN and the Fan Radio Network. Vikings Overtime is presented by Xfinity, Profile by Sanford, TimberTech, Carboni's Pizzeria, the Hair Restoration Institute, and by Honda. Now with more postgame coverage of today's Vikings game, here's the fans, Eric Nordquist, AJ Mansour, and Paul Lambert.
What's happening, sports fans? Your Minnesota Vikings lose 27-24 in overtime, but hey, it could be worse. You could be the Green Bay Packers, and if you listened to this station earlier, I think they were picked to go 17-0, and I think every caller on Packer Preview said they'd win the Super Bowl. They're down 31-3 in Jacksonville, but they're playing the Saints. Welcome back, boys, to another season of Vikings Overtime.
Hey, Paulie, how you doing, man?
How you been?
Good,
Long
Nordo.
time no see.
Yeah, how are you? How was overtime? Or whatever you did.
No, Fanline was actually pretty
I'm
mild.
in mid-season form, by the way.
That's good.
Yeah, so
because what we saw today was terrible and deserves to be ripped thoroughly.
All right, let's start with this, okay? It's our favorite boss's favorite subject, and that is the Minnesota Vikings offensive line, okay?
Yeah.
This was tweeted 4 hours ago, I think maybe at halftime or the end of the third quarter, from Chad Graff.
Oh, I saw this, yeah. Nicely laid out.
To recap the Vikings offensive line, Rashad Hill, 2 holding penalties, one of them was declined. Ezra Cleveland, 2 pressures. Garrett Bradbury, a sack allowed, 2 holding penalties, 1 declined.
Ooh.
Uli Udoh, sack allowed, 1 holding penalty. Brian O'Neill, false start penalty. AJ, we'll start with you. Who played the worst out of the 5 of them?
And they added on, by the way.
They were awful.
I think that
today.
was. Did he have the unsportsmanlike on Udoh there yet? Did he have the holding penalty on
that
Cleveland?
must have been at half.
Right.
That was halftime.
The list goes freaking on
they
and
had,
on.
12 penalties for 116 yards?
That sounds correct.
Yeah, and most of them were on the O-line.
You have the box score in front of you.
So okay.
That's what it was.
Who played the worst was your question.
That's a rosy bit.
I think off the top of my head.
Ed Muss had to correct me because I think I said it was 12 for 126 about an hour ago, and he corrected me.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
so the situation with the offensive line, right? I think who played the worst, I don't know that you can put it on one person as far as who played the worst. I would say the one that maybe I'm most concerned about, right? You've got the guys who got penalties that were false starting and holding. Those things are situational sometimes. I didn't have the TV audio on. Did you guys see on social media there was some upswell about Mike Zimmer basically saying that some of those holding penalties were on Kirk Cousins holding the ball too long? Can any of you confirm that happened?
I think he did an interview coming out of the locker room.
I think he told whoever the sideline.
I saw it pop up. I didn't hear it myself, so we'll take it for Twitter's word, which is kind of dangerous. But some of those you can maybe.
He did say that.
He did say that. Okay, so you can attribute that to Kirk on some of those. Those situations I deem as fixable, right? Rashad Hill, I think, is going to be replaced before we know it by Darisaw as soon as he's healthy.
The second he's healthy.
The one that continues to concern me is the center, Garrett Bradbury,
there you go.
who didn't necessarily have penalty problems, but play problems. The one where he got bull rushed straight through into there was at least one. There might have been another one where Kirk ended up stumbling and it was like his own player sacked him. I don't know if that was Bradbury or not, but
I think that
the pressure up the middle is a problem for this team because the pocket, which should kind of form around the quarterback and allow the quarterback to step up in those situations, doesn't exist. That's where my concern is on the very interior at the center position of that offensive line. Nordo, do you agree with that, I guess? And do you have any different feelings on the rest of the guys?
Yeah, I'd first of all, I'd agree with the concern on Bradbury. And now year 3,
right?
It's not good enough.
No.
And I saw him today losing one-on-one battles in moments. And I'm sure it'll come up, but just the run game today, the holes did not exist for Dalvin Cook. And I didn't see a ferocity up front at all from that group. So combine that with the penalties, I'm with you 100% on Bradbury. Udoh had an opportunity first day on the job, and he just bleeped the whole thing.
Yeah, he was bad.
It just he wasn't good enough today either.
And most of the time, Nordo and you guys, we've talked about this, and we've seen it. All of us have watched enough football. If you're an interior offensive lineman and you're holding, it's because you've been beaten horribly on the inside.
For the most part, yeah. That makes sense. And so just really down on those two in particular. Cleveland only stands out to me because of that holding penalty late. But what did that set us up for? That set us up for a ton of 3rd and 20+ situations. Yeah. And Kirk was holding the ball an exceptional long time, several times. And he was always, that's where I was trying to get into it with Ron a bit, just because I'm not an elite, I haven't seen the All-22 yet, so I don't know if I'm able to create this opinion. But, I couldn't tell if Thielen and Jefferson were having issues with getting open today. Mm-hmm. Certainly KJ Osborne provided a nice third option, so he was productive today. But ultimately, in the same vein of the preseason, where when is this offense going to get explosive? They didn't really take shots today. And a lot of the best plays offensively were predicated on shorter passes where the athletes then did the rest themselves. So he did hold on to the ball a long time today. Overall, though, for me, other than that, I don't look at it's like Kirk's not the reason we lost.
No.
He also played fairly mistake-free football for 4 quarters in that overtime. So I'm not necessarily down on Kirk. I just can't see what he saw. Clearly, there's still going to be a work in progress with Kubiak and how this scheme fits together and everything. But the O-line is a start and stop L for me in relation to the offense.
And as you said, Nordo, you have to at some point take more shots to Justin Jefferson. I mean, Adam Thielen's a stud, but Justin Jefferson is one of the best wide receivers in the league. And he had 5 receptions for 71 yards. Now, he had a touchdown.
He did have a touchdown.
And I heard Corey bring it up. How is that not a touchdown? And then, I mean, the Dalvin fumble we can talk about forever, but that's not a fumble. It's just, it was weird. And we saw it with the awful roughing the passer penalty that we just saw in the Saints-Packer game. But still, the refs had a weird day too. Because I don't know how Dalvin's butt is on the ground when he lets go of that football and they call it a fumble. Jefferson isn't down and rolls into the end zone.
Right.
His arm hits the ground and the ball comes out.
After he had crossed the plane.
Correct. How is that not a touchdown? It was weird all around today.
Right. So the issue I have more so than anything with both of those calls is that the initial call on the field was the negative. I don't understand in some situations where there's if they're unsure if it's a backwards pass or a forward pass on a screen play, they let that thing run out and then they review it. Or if there's a fumble on or a questionable interception, they let it play out and give the defense or whatever side it is the benefit of the doubt and then overturn it. They err on the side of caution for one way or the other. And I feel like today on both those situations, they maybe went the opposite direction. And in the Dalvin Cook one, more so than the Jefferson one. I thought the Jefferson one was more clearly a touchdown than the Dalvin one wasn't a fumble. And the reason was because, again, they called it a fumble on the field, and you can put pieces together from different angles to say, okay, he has the ball here, and then in this other angle, we see his butt down. We put those 2 puzzles together, and he was down before the ball came out. But you can also say that in that one angle where everyone was saying that's the one, you can see his butt down, whatever, you couldn't see the ball in that angle too. So I can understand where they called it a fumble and didn't have enough to overturn that one. The Jefferson one, I have no idea what the call was there, and there was no explanation. I also have an issue with that. There's no explanation as far as why they made that call. So, everybody's angry. Everybody's really angry about both those plays. But at the end of the day, the Vikings shot themselves in the foot about 20 times. That would have helped them win an ugly game, but would we have felt much better? I guess a little bit.
Yeah, we'll take the win.
No, we would have felt completely different. I mean, everything that we're talking about now and will talk about, that's all real. I want to get to the defensive side where we put all these millions of dollars into the interior of this defense. We got 99 back. We got all of this. And they had 150 yards rushing today.
Yeah.
That's the worst. That's not good.
And they bit, and even after the game on that 4th down play that they bit on, Zimmer said that they practiced against that because that's a call Cleveland ran last year, or not Cleveland.
Since he ran last year. And as soon as they
bit on it.
As soon as they made the check out of the QB
they should have known.
The defense was supposed to adjust.
Correct, and they didn't. So there you go. But the other thing too is, as you said with the defense, I mean, we saw.
But we would have felt differently if they win, right? I mean, overall, if they don't make that call on Dalvin, and
they had 5 sacks.
What was it? The 38.
Yeah.
Okay, so you cobble together, let's say Greg's good, Greg Joseph's
Who
good
made
from
that
40
that
and
one
to go
to
home.
tie it was
How
he
about-
made it twice.
how about nails?
Right.
That's a good sign. By the way, this
Touchdown
is a
again. Holy
rout.
smokes.
This is an absolute rout. Jameis Winston is 14 of 20 for 5 passing touchdowns.
And that one was legit.
That was
a bomb in
It's-
stride.
It's about to be 38-3. Man, I wish Brett Blakemore was still doing overtime.
Well, it's tough to celebrate it because our team lost.
Yeah, but this
if
is-
you are going to throw the whole last dance thing in our faces and everything's
and
great,
Then, and then Stoner Rogers is going to waltz in.
he's
this
looked
is
really bad today.
Really bad.
Yeah.
I at this point, you don't put him back in the game.
And Jameis Winston is going to find a way to screw up the Saints season some way, somehow.
Yeah.
But not today.
So
Not today.
yeah, I mean, if they win the game, okay, so they win 27-24, whatever, in overtime. They get out on a road game that they don't normally win. They had 5 sacks. The defense was skeptical and sometimes and all that, and then the offensive line was horrible. Skeptical is the wrong word, but the offensive line was awful. So if they win, we're sitting here going, all right, they got to win.
Yeah, they're 1-0 by not being perfect.
But they're going to be, I would bet, 8-point underdogs next week.
Yeah.
To
On the road.
That's heavy.
an Arizona team. They're going to be
But how good did Kyler
maybe
look
a
today?
point
Chandler
favorite.
Jones.
Maybe a point favorite at home against maybe a favorite. They might be a
Maybe.
home dog
Well, if that's-
against Seattle.
If the score line next week is what that Arizona-Tennessee score line was today, we'll be dogs at home against Seattle.
Yeah.
Right.
I would bet.
But
Right.
I bet there's 7-point, and Power Trip Bets will text me here in a second. I could look it up, but I'm busy. I would bet that they're 7-point dogs. Right? I bet the opening line's 7.
I'm going
against Arizona.
I'll bet 4.5.
4.5?
Yeah.
All right.
Can I rephrase?
But they should be dogs after what we saw
Yeah.
today
Oh my gosh,
and
yes.
what
Yeah,
Arizona did in Tennessee.
Can I then rephrase the way that I stated that again, I guess, about feeling good about this win? Clearly, you'd feel good. You'd feel better
Well,
about
you'd
a
love
win,
to
than a
yeah.
loss.
And
but
winning cures a lot.
But with what we saw today, remember there was a lot of questions coming into today, wondering about what it would look like once they get Dalvin and Jefferson and Daniil and all these guys that we didn't see them at all in the preseason. We assumed that the defense would be better, that the offense would be better, and that you just generally assume that they don't play as sloppily as they did.
Yeah.
And that they would beat a team that we deemed this might be like the most winnable game on the schedule.
Yeah, you may be
Outside
right.
of maybe the Lions, and they even looked pretty good today.
They had some fight to them.
I would
Yeah.
argue that whether we win or lose this game today, the way that they played, the way that they left those things hanging out there and looking pretty bad, the outlook for the season with a schedule that's already deemed very tough and probably looks even more difficult after the way you saw some of these teams play today, I don't feel any better whether they win or lose today. I still think that this would be a team that wouldn't make the playoffs.
Norda, we'll get your thoughts on that, and we'll go around the league here in about 10 minutes, but we'll break. We'll come back. Your Vikings lose 27-24. They are now 0-1. They take on the Cardinals next week. Kirk Cousins, 36 of 49, 351 yards and a touchdown. Dalvin, 20 carries, 61 yards and a touchdown, but he had the fumble that cost him the game. Jordan Love is going into the game. Now, I'm sure this morning on Packer Preview, they talked about how Rodgers would be pulled because they'd be winning, but they benched Rodgers. Jordan Love is going in the game with the Packers down 38-3. And if you're if you're Charts Challenge people like AJ and I are,
he's got 2 points.
I think hockey has 2 or 3 points. We'll come back. We'll calculate all that because I know you're on the edge of your seat. It's Vikings Overtime. We'll be back right after this on.
Life gets more magical when you dream. So dream of a Disney cruise filled with magic and wonder.
Hiya, pal!
Sail from Florida to Disney's private island paradise and get ready for a dream come true with Disney Cruise Line.
Welcome to another episode of Ask Tomorrow. I'm your host, Tomorrow. Better sleep makes for a better me, and Casper's Cooling Collection has everything hot sleepers need to keep cool all night long, like the Wave Hybrid Snow Mattress for over 12 hours of cooler sleep. Okay, next caller.
Hi, Tomorrow. I need to break up with my boyfriend. Any suggestions?
Get him a breathable mattress protector. It helps hot sleepers stay cool.
I think I'll just go with flowers.
Yeah, none of my exes appreciated the mattress protector either. Casper, love your tomorrow.
Or by NHTSA. Listen tomorrow as our know-it-alls tell you what the Vikings should have done better today. The Power Trip, PA, Common, and Barrero are all back and live tomorrow.
Now back to Vikings football on KFAN.
What's happening, sports fans? Your Minnesota Vikings lose 27-24 in overtime to the Cincinnati Bengals. They're 1-0. They're 0-1. The Vikings will take on the Cardinals next week. Power Trip Bets texted me and said that they were +3. The Vikings were, but that's before Arizona and the Vikings played.
That was before today.
So that line should go up a tad.
It'll go the other direction.
Yeah. The Vikings will be about +7 or 8 would be my guess. But that's for another time and another day. But your Minnesota Vikings are 0-1, and they have a tough schedule. AJ, you nailed it.
They needed this game.
They needed this game because on paper, other than the Lions, but we saw the Lions, which Dan Campbell said all offseason, they would have some fight to them. And they did. They were 8.5. They were 8.5 point dogs against the 49ers.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, that's the lock of the day. The 49ers are going to destroy them. Everybody thought
they got that by a half point, right?
Yeah, and they got it by a half point. Everybody was like, they're in a rebuild mode. It's over for the Lions, and then whatever. And we don't know what we have from the Bears, but the Vikings are 0-1, the Lions are 0-1, and the Packers are 0-1, and the Rams are, I think, a 7.5 point favorite tonight. So the NFC Central, the NFC North, could start 0-4. It should be called the NFC Central. I'm in midseason form, by the way. But
you are in midseason form.
So here we are. So you said before we went to break, AJ, that if the Vikings win, it's not as bad. But even if they win, as we talked about, Nordo, now I want to get your thoughts. This team has a lot of holes on it. And I know it's the first game. And other than the offensive line, the secondary's not good.
Yeah, I was kind of worried with what I saw at times today. And
Breeland got benched.
Bashad Breeland did he get benched or was he nicked up?
I think he got benched.
Because there was
little of column A, little of column B.
Right.
But he wasn't good.
Nope,
I guess I'm not necessarily mad if he had to take a series off or anything. Peterson was, for the most part, fine. I think he made a mistake. And again, I'm not an elite coverage expert, so I don't know what he's supposed to do. But he pushes forward on this play. I think it was like T. Higgins on some sort of shallow
I know exactly
short
which one you're
route.
talking about.
And then he left somebody behind him 10 yards.
Right.
And whether it was Xavier Woods or somebody running over at the end just to push him out of bounds, it was like a 25-yard gain. Right. It felt like Peterson was getting caught in those spaces. So that was an issue. I think with the run game today, we definitely missed. We missed Anthony Barr. Vigil was always just catching up to plays. Right. It felt like it was just, and that's
he had a sack,
maybe what to expect.
He came out of the gates.
I think he did
firing.
have a sack.
He had a sack in the first quarter, and then he was kind of silent the rest of the way.
So I'm glad that he got
one
the sack.
He had eight solo tackles,
and we had 5 of them as a team. But even as gaudy as that sack number is, I mean, Burrow was 20 of 27 today. He was fantastic.
Yes, he was.
For the most part, he was not under immense pressure. And even though Danielle Hunter got a sack later in the game,
a huge sack.
In a big moment.
It was a huge play.
It was a third down play, absolutely. But for the totality of the game, I can't say that our defensive line effectively impacted the game the way that we thought, the way that was with all these new bodies and everything included, that this was just going to be a force against an offensive line that the Bengals have tried to put back together and try to build. But ultimately, from just a on-paper standpoint, you're like, I love this matchup, our D-line versus their O-line. I didn't think they were good enough today. And that's worrisome. So defensively, the $150 on the ground is a problem. And the pass coverage at times looked disjointed. So it's a work in progress, there's no doubt. But you just needed this game today. And the second half of the schedule, you have to feast early on because you're going to go, I think we're at Baltimore. We have the prime-timer against the Cowboys, who didn't look quite as awful and as diseased as someone anticipated.
Stacked offensively.
They are stacked offensively. And we're going to run into those types of juggernauts. And right now, if we're just going to play the Bengals before we saw what happened today, it's like, oh, yeah. I mean, I guess we've upgraded so much that a Cam Dantzler is a guy that would be inactive, and that's just kind of a yawn. We move on. But that's worrisome now that after what I saw today, depth and overall quality, that needs to get better defensively.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. I mean, he just threw it around the gym on us all day today.
Right.
And they got the young, talented receivers. I know that. But that is not what I anticipated seeing. I did not anticipate seeing Joe Mixon having the success he had either today. So very, very frustrating because a year ago we felt so helpless.
Right.
And I felt that feeling
today. But you could say it was injuries and it was an opt-out. And
sure.
There were those, that doesn't exist anymore.
That helpless feeling of, if we can just get, we get that touchdown from Thielen and it's like, could we just get a stop? And then they get that field goal to where then it's 24-14. Complete hijinks taking place in this Chiefs-Browns.
Was that a bobbled snap? I think it was a botched snap on a punt. They didn't block it. I don't know what they did. The punter was running for his life, and Kansas City, down 2 points, just got the ball, and they were like...
That's a very Vikings-like thing to happen. A grinder of a road game against one of the best in the league.
Did you see the play that happened earlier that I don't know, I didn't have the sound on the TV, but they punted down to like the 1. And is it Donovan's Peoples-Jones?
Yep.
Goes in to grab it.
What?
And he gets it wrestled away from him from the Chiefs are punting.
Yeah.
And it's like down at the 1 and they're doing the thing where they like stand and kind of watch it.
Right. And
he goes to pick it up. The Chiefs player rips it out of his hand and walks into the end zone. I don't know if they said like the play was dead.
Depends if the whistle blew.
But it was like a bang bang play and it should have been a
touchdown.
A touchdown. So horrible special teams here for the Browns as they just give the ball up deep into their zone when they're up 29-27 against the Chiefs. The other thing about the Vikings that I think is kind of bothersome is, and we talked about it early on, and with all the penalties were just so bad. And bad penalties like high school kids make, like the false starts and the unnecessary roughness penalty on Uliudo, and you're like, what's happening? So that's something that can be cleaned up, but still, it was a sloppy game, but they were down 21-7 on the road and came back to tie it and put the game into overtime, which is something a lot of people are like, well, Kirk Cousins can't do that. That's a huge sign for this team going forward, but
I don't know that they're going to be in the position to do that, though.
Because the schedule is so hard. Don't they have like the 4th or 5th toughest schedule in the NFL?
They may.
It was something like that, yeah.
So the schedule is only going to get tougher, and now you got to go on the road against a Arizona team that has all the confidence in the world.
Yeah.
This team, though, had trouble just like last year, scoring early in games and in first halves. And then we would see a lot like what we saw today, where everything just started clicking and it worked. So the adjustments were there and all. But they were still resulting in losing efforts.
Right.
That's it. So you're still losing the game. So similarly, Dan Campbell's gonna stomp all year long about how much fight his guys got, and they're gonna win 5 games.
Right.
If we continue to play the way that we did today, the Vikings are going to have that fight, and Kirk's going to have 4,000 yards and 38 TDs, and we're going to have 5 or 6 wins.
Can I tell you what my fear is, though? My fear is that losing this game gives you a decent shot to open the season 0-2, 0-3, 0-4.
You're going that route,
and then we face a Lions team that we don't know what we have there. Okay, so we'll leave that one up there.
Detroit.
It's 2 home games in a row, so I think that's probably away, unless they have 3 in a row. I guess I don't know. Here, I got the schedule right up in front
Max,
of me.
go ahead.
I think it's at home.
It's at home.
It is a home game. Okay, so my fear is that with a lot of pieces and a lot of different vibes, let's say, in this locker room, if this team starts 0-4, you start having some behind the scenes consternation that we don't believe in this player or that player or this leader or that leader, and it starts to spiral out of control. Now, I'd like to think that doesn't happen, but we all know that it does. Yeah. We've seen it many times, especially in this organization, the last handful of years, with players that are no longer here, some that are here, whatever. That's what I fear, is that it becomes like this kind of walking with your head cut off situation where they're just they don't know what they have, and the whole season the fans start to not care, the players start to get upset. That's what scares me. And when you start 0-1 in a game that you should have won, against a team that you should have beaten, that only can lead you into potentially an 0-4 start and worse beyond there. That's what scares me.
An 0-4 start.
Yeah, I'm negative. Sorry,
no, but an 0-4 start.
It's very possible.
Is very possible because they never beat Seattle.
Right.
This Arizona team is
and Seattle's good.
Yeah, and you think that I can't name one other than Trey Hendrickson or whatever that guy's name is, the defensive end on the Bengals. Other than that, I can't name a defensive player they have. Chandler Jones had 5
You're
sacks.
You're a big Ogunjobi fan.
Of course I am. Chandler Jones had 5 sacks in 3 quarters today against a good Tennessee Taylor Lewan against Taylor Lewan, who was benched. Right. That's how bad it got in Tennessee.
And we're either going to throw Rashad Hill,
and that was on the road,
or a rookie in his first start up against him.
I know it's the first game, and I know there's all kinds of people probably screaming at the radio going, "What are you doing?" This is if you want to be a team that everyone thinks you're going to be, you don't lose to the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll come back. We'll talk about that.
I just hate how discombobulated was this entire operation today.
Right. Horrible.
I mean, it was
bad.
And so I don't want to project that over the course of the season. I'm not quite as doom and gloom as you guys are, but everything you've said is accurate. If you lose this next weekend against the Cardinals, you're going to be a dog against Seattle. And with what I'm watching with the Browns today, they can beat anybody anywhere, regardless of the result of this game.
We can talk about this when we get back.
You start 0-4.
There was one thing,
my God,
that made me feel good about this team.
All right, we'll talk about that.
Only one.
We'll talk about that when we come back. And an 0-4 start means what everybody.
Life gets more magical when you dream. So dream of a Disney cruise filled with magic and wonder.
Hiya, pal!
Sail from Florida to Disney's private island paradise and get ready for a dream come true with Disney Cruise Line.
Welcome to another episode of Ask Tomorrow. I'm your host, Tomorrow. Better sleep makes for a better me, and Casper's cooling collection has everything hot sleepers need to keep cool all night long, like the Wave Hybrid Snow Mattress for over 12 hours of cooler sleep. Okay, next caller.
Hi, Tomorrow. I need to break up with my boyfriend. Any suggestions?
Get him a breathable mattress protector. It helps hot sleepers stay cool.
I think I'll just go with flowers.
Yeah, none of my exes appreciated the mattress protector either. Casper, love your tomorrow.
Your home for all things purple.
Galvin 10-5! Touchdown!
FM 100.3 KFAN, The Fan.
All right, what's happening, sports fans? 2 more segments left here on Vikings Overtime, and then we are off for 2 weeks because the Vikings' next 2 games are at, 3:25? The home opener, of course, against Seattle 2 weeks from today is at 3:25.
Yeah, next 3:05 this Sunday.
Yeah, next week it's 3:05 against the Cardinals. So here we go. Let's go around the league, and you give me your thoughts. Chiefs 33, Browns 29. That game is currently going on. The Browns are punting right now, and they finally got one off. Patrick Mahomes, 3 touchdowns, 319 yards, and a rushing touchdown.
Yeah, they started slow, kind of like the Vikings did, but then they just blow past everyone.
Right. Yeah, they had,
the 75-yarder to cut Tyreek, and I didn't see, but less than 3 minutes later, they just scored again, missed 2-pointers, so they're up 4. But
what does that feel like to be a Chiefs fan and
no,
never
you're always in the game.
You're never out of the game.
You're never out of it.
Right?
No, it'd be sweet. Patriots are losing 17-16 to the Dolphins, who have the ball with 2 minutes and 31 seconds left. Mac Jones has thrown 1 touchdown, 281 yards, but hey, good for them. That game is probably boring as hell.
Well, I think Damian Harris actually fumbled deep in Miami territory.
Of course he did.
And completely blew the game. So Dolphins just need to salt it away, I guess.
How about this? Saints 38, the Packers 3. Jameis Winston has 5 touchdowns. 5.
There's nothing to say.
Jordan Love is in.
What's Aaron Rodgers' stat line look like today? 133 yards, 4.8 per.
Yeah, not good.
2 picks.
Okay. Yeah, 36.8 passer rating.
Ouch.
Let's see here. Great. You were right, Nordo, by the way. The opening line for the game that just came public, the Vikings are +4.
They're +4. So I said 4.5. But yeah, somewhere in that area.
Hammer the Cardinals.
But it's going to grow.
I'd hammer the Cardinals.
Yeah.
That'll be 6.5 points by tomorrow morning.
If it gets super dumb where it's up +8, I'd take the points.
Eagles 32, Falcons 6. Jalen Hurts threw 3 touchdowns. Steelers 23, Bills 16. There's a team that's bummed. I mean, the Bills are a Super Bowl contender, and they lost opening day at home against the Steelers, who I think had a blocked punt.
Yeah, I do think, and it was 10-0 at halftime. I think Pittsburgh's better than people thought, but Buffalo still should have won that game.
Yeah, they should have. 49ers 41, Lions 33, Jared Goff 338 and 3 touchdowns. Deebo Samuel 189 and a touchdown.
Right.
Wow. Cards
and
38.
He fumbled the ball at the end, too.
Yeah. Cards 38, Titans 13. Kyler Murray threw 4 touchdowns and ran one in. DeAndre Hopkins, had 2 touchdowns.
Did Kyler play in the fourth quarter?
Yeah. He played the entire game, which was weird. They just handed it off, obviously. Right. Seahawks 28, the Colts 16. Russell Wilson 4 touchdowns. The one offensive line that's worse than ours, the Colts. It was so bad. I watched half that game. It was horrid.
They've got some injuries, right?
Well, don't they have like a third-string guy playing left tackle, I think
they've got some injuries because it used to be the opposite, right? The Colts,
was one of the
Phillip Rivers went there, and it was like he could just sit back in the pocket.
Yeah, it was Anthony Costanzo, the left tackle, former first-rounder. He retired.
Yep.
And then it was Quentin Nelson and Ryan Kelly. I forget who the right guard was. Then it was Braden Smith.
Yeah, and I think they're down to their
sweet line, but they're injured.
I think they're down to their third offensive tackle. Let's see here. Where were we? Chargers 20, Washington 16. Herbert threw 1 touchdown. How about this? Sam Darnold gets the victory against his old team, 19-14 over the Jets. He threw 1 touchdown. I think McCaffrey had 98 yards rushing. Then I think he had like 97 receiving.
It was 89.
Okay,
89,
something like that. Let's see here. And then, of course, the Texans, everybody expected this. The Texans 37, Jacksonville 21. Here's the greatest stat of this entire game. I saw it flash up on the screen. That's Trevor Lawrence's first regular season loss ever.
So he never lost in high school.
College, ever. That's pretty sweet. And then the
get used to it, kid.
Yeah, of course. They're a horrible. I think they've lost 16 straight.
Right. That's what you get with the first overall pick, right?
Yeah. And then the game on Monday is the Ravens and the Raiders, and the game tonight is the Rams and Chicago. We'll come back. We'll wrap this up. We'll talk about next week. Vikings lose 27-24 to the Bengals in overtime. It's Vikings Overtime with AJ Mansour, Nordo, and me, Paul, and Max is over on the other side of the...
Life gets a lot more magical when you dream. So let's dream of a vacation unlike any other. A magical Disney cruise.
Hiya, pal!
Where new stories meet tales as old as time.
Enchanté, mon ami.
And your family will be cared for the moment you step aboard. Sail from Florida to Disney's private island paradise and get ready for a dream come true with Disney Cruise Line.
Wiener Schnitzel's got the tastiest new item in town that's changing up the brisket game. Introducing barbecue brisket fries. Tender smoked brisket, savory barbecue sauce, grilled onions, and ooey gooey cheese sauce topped on a bed of golden fries. Turning into and oh yeah into
oh yeah.
Hey, I'm pretty good at this. Anyways, mosey on
Mosey on over to Wiener Schnitzel and get a taste of the Old West with their new barbecue brisket fries today.
Your home for all things purple.
Oh, he's hit and he's sacked.
FM 100.3 KFAN, The Fan.
What's happening, sports fans? We got a barn burner in Kansas City. Kansas City just punted. They're up 33-29. There's 2:49 left, and Baker Mayfield's going to get the ball and see if he can win a huge
got a long way to go
road game. And he almost got hit by the...
Yeah, what was that?
Like Baker. Probably the yard marker.
Oh, I thought he did like a dance.
I like Baker.
Baker's look good today, too.
Lean back.
AJ, before we... finish here in a couple minutes. You said you had some positive thing you saw today. Tell us what that is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you're looking at the pile of dung that we saw on the football field today, The only thing that really stuck out to me that I could walk away feeling good about was the kicking game. More specifically, Greg Joseph hitting the 2 field goals to I count him as 2 because he hit him twice. But the field goal at the end to send it to overtime. Everybody that has ever cheered for the Minnesota Vikings was sitting in that situation expecting him to miss that kick. Like, nobody thought, especially when he made the practice one after they called the timeout, we all knew it was going to go wide right, wide left, whatever way, short, and not be good. And he nailed it. And hopefully, it was one game, whatever, but that made me feel good about the kicking game situation for this Minnesota Vikings. I guess I could feel okay about the punting game. The first 2 punts weren't great, but he had that one where Barry, is that his name? Barry, where he pinned him down.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Overtime.
Completely flipped the field.
Nordo,
I agree that's the positive from the day.
I don't know if I can find another one.
Some of the special teams,
I don't think I can either.
D.D. Westbrook on the return. I do want to give kind of a little mini baby shout out to KJ Osborne, who had 7 catches, 76 yards today.
Yeah, good for him.
And again, being that third option on a team where we're still kind of wondering, what is Herndon going to do? Conklin had a couple of moments. But overall, I thought KJ was the third best option for Kirk today. And just hoping that gets better. So the bright spot, though, I mean, absolutely. 53-yard nails it. Greg Joseph. That's the best part of a losing game today.
Twice. And then as we saw, who was it that was walking? It was Bates, their safety.
Yeah, talking trash.
And Pete's like, what is happening? And then he makes it again. That was sweet.
It was.
That's the only positive thing we saw. The offensive line was bad. Dalvin didn't have time to operate. And play calling was horrible.
Thielen looked great.
How do we not? Yeah, Thielen, good point. Yeah, right. Thielen had 2 touchdowns.
Can't ignore that.
But how do you not throw downfield more? You're going to be in a shootout next weekend. You are, because as good as the offense is in, or as good as the offense and defense are in Arizona, you're going to be in a shootout. Their cornerbacks are awful. They just weren't exposed today. They're a bad group of cornerbacks. And they're going to have to exploit that next week. And I don't know if they can. I know it's week 1, but it's already looking bad. Your guys said all year, Nordo, you got to win in Cincinnati if you want to be taken seriously. And they didn't.
They didn't. And Patrick Peterson wants that game down there next weekend as bad as anybody.
Forgot about that,
If you're Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, though,
they're going to go right at it.
They're going to go right at it.
Correct.
And it'll be interesting to see that. I did, the Michael Pierce bit with the 2 sacks. I was going to say, that's a bright spot because we've had such a problem getting pass rush, thrust, and productivity out of that spot. The problem is I still don't understand it. That wall was supposed to be a thing, and they ran for $150 onto. So
right at us too. I see Vixen got going too when he leaned on him for a while.
I see those 2 sacks as kind of a. I'm not trying to take an unfair pot shot at Kirk, but you know how Kirk puts up the numbers, but he doesn't do it when you need to. That's the knock on him. I feel like that's what it is. You look at the sacks and you look at the box score, and it looks like Pierce had a great game, or the line had a good game because they had 5 sacks.
Yeah,
but they weren't doing everything else and did the rest of it. Right.
Quickly, Age, what can we find on KFAN.com?
Oh, all sorts of stuff. Highlights from PA. We pair them up with the video highlights. We'll have all the articles. Analyzing this, Jack Day helping us out again this year, breaking it down, giving a little analytics spin on things too. So everything you want at KFAN.com.
Nordo, what do we got tomorrow on 9 to noon?
Yeah, sad montage calls. We'll have Sinekin on to explain his awful team across the river. And then PJ Flex in the mix, JG. Lots of football tomorrow.
The Vikings lose 27-24, but the Saints beat the Packers 38-3. So as Tenna B would say, today was a good day. Thank you, AJ. Thank you, Nordo. Thank you, Max. I'm Meat Sauce. We'll be back in, 3 weeks? Because the Vikings don't play a noon game for 3 weeks.
Life gets more magical when you dream. So dream of a Disney cruise filled with magic and wonder.
Hiya, pal!
Sail from Florida to Disney's private island paradise and get ready for a dream come true with Disney Cruise Line.